Okay, so I guess to start, yeah, let's go ahead and introduce you, just in case we have people that will be listening to this that don't exactly know who you are.
So my name is Dr. Jimmy. Everyone knows me as the Dr. Jimmy. Um, you can call me a pro fighting player sponsored by Playbook Esports. My real name is Arthur James Malgapo. I'm not used to being called that, so just
Yeah, let's go with Jamie. Let's go with Jamie. Because I met you as Dr. Jimmy. Okay. Alright. Yeah, I guess we could start with that. How about you, Red? You have any questions about that?
Yeah, audio kind of went out for a bit,
Yeah, let's wait for that to pass a bit. Or you know what? I'll just mute myself and Rai, for a few minutes. Rai, why don't you continue the conversation?
get recognized. And back then, that was when I moved to Davao. So I wanted the Davao community to get recognized. So I do it for them, GC.
All right. So, Jimmy, let's get that story straight. Number one, you started as organizing for StarCraft events, but you weren't really playing StarCraft, or you were already playing other games back then.
I did. I actually was playing. I wanted to get competitive in StarCraft, and Mineski opened up in Cebu. They had this King of the Hill challenge. I joined. It was fun, and then we decided to organize.
So Street Fighter 4 just captured you in a different way, along with its community.
Yeah, I mean, I would play Street Fighter 4 in the arcades of Cebu, but I wasn't really serious about it. Like, I was just happy to do an EP cancel that and do an Ultra Lucan thing. It's like, oh yeah, this is so fun. So I would just do that, but I never got serious into it. It was really like me wanting to be a player,
Mm-hmm.
and when I started playing, I started to meet a whole new bunch of people, which were, I don't know, they were way fun, they were way entertaining, they were, you know,
It just clicked with you, and yeah, I guess it just clicked with you. These people just clicked with you, and that, apart from you really enjoying the game itself, that just let you have a more personal investment in fighting games. Okay.
yeah, you could put it that way.
Okay, so do you think, like, um, from how I watch these events, there seems to be a lot more personality shining through from the players during tournaments in the FGC versus uh, MOBAs and RTSs like StarCraft and Dota and League of Legends. So do you think it's just, lines of communication between people are a lot more open in the live space for the FGC?
I think it's more on lines of expression, because one of the cool things of fighting games in general is players can express themselves clearly through their style of play and through their body language as they're playing. I mean, I love all the RTSs and all the MOBAs. Most of the time, people are just this way, right? Right. And then yeah, they can cheer and everything, but when you're playing a fighting game, people can smash really hard. They can press a button really hard. They can emphasize their press. They can really show their expression at certain points of the match. Like, you can see how they feel, if they're salty, if they know they did something wrong in that instance. I feel like it's expressing yourself in a fighting game is way easier, and it's all that more clear to the audience. I think that's why personality shines through.
Okay, yeah, I would agree, because in RTS you can and other games like Dota, you can generally follow this style of play that you could find other people just replicate quite easily. But but I guess in a way, there's just so many things you can do different in a fighting game that you'll know that that's a Dr. Jimmy move right there, like something like that. Like it could be a win pose after a match. It could be a combo in the match itself. It could be a strategy, but it could be a character color actually.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's just I think the popular thing they say is like it's not esports, it's fighting games, and it's a lot closer to WWE than than actual competitive games.
yeah, because you have two people, with their own personalities, their own personas, and then they're going at it head to head. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's definitely how a lot of things, or moments in fighting games, given the shorter length of one match, there's a lot more happening per second in a fighting game versus MOBAs and RTSs where it's a slow build-up to key moments in games.
I agree. So much can happen in like a span of 10 game seconds. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some I think somebody said that like Evo Moment 37 actually made esports possible, and that's like I don't know a 30-second clip, you know.
And I think that embodied like the essence of the fighting game, like why it's so fun. Like moments like that, and you can have moments like that every single game, or like 2 or 3 times in a single round. So
Okay.
there were so many hype moments.
All right, so last year you had an exclusive event called Rev Major. You like we could say that it might be a precedent to even bigger achievements from Playbook from here on out. Did you ever think that from starting from mall events in SM in Davao, did you think that you'd actually get this far in all your in all the work that you've been doing, like back then compared to back then?
I'd say it's always been a dream. Um, you know, when you're a fighting game player and you follow the scene, you always watch these international events where these pro players come in going up against the locals. I mean, like you envision that when you're doing little shop events, big mall events. Uh, it yeah, it's kind of like a dream come true for me. Like I've always wanted to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't really sunk in that when Playbook picked me up, like I knew like things were going to happen. I knew one day an event like this would be possible, but I never thought it would be like it. I didn't think it.
Did you imagine that you were gonna invite like players from Japan, from Singapore, from China, to appear at your event and even have foreign commentators? Like, cause that's how big it was, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the goal actually. That was the dream, and it happened. Uh, and, it was amazing. I mean, the event was amazing. The Philippine FGC was amazing. They made that event that good. Like every single person played a role. Um, and I'd say the crowd played a huge role as well. I mean, people were posting comments on YouTube, on Twitch, like ship this crowd to Evo.
Yeah.
That was an awesome.
The whole world pretty much noticed the rev majors there. Like the pro players from abroad that came over were like, "Oh shoot, this crowd is insane!" Or like, "I never knew there were so many good players from Manila. Why hasn't anyone noticed Manila until last year?" So it's insane how much attention was put into the Filipino FGC because of this event.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
Like we didn't expect it to have that kind of reception.
Okay, you mentioned like a couple of times like how much you just appreciate the how fighting game communities exist, and there's like several of them. you can't just say that it's just one whole big thing. There's ones in cities, there's ones in other countries, different games, all of that. Yeah, it really has a lot of subsections. But tell me, who are like the people that you look up to in the FGC?
Locally or internationally?
Oh, now you gave me two choices. All right, give me your top three for each. There.
Locally, so like the people who actually mentored me in this journey. First it was Jello.
Mm-hmm.
Second, in no particular order. Second, the person who helped me out like throughout my journey was Jab Escotin, and of course currently the big boss
Yeah.
Richard Rohan. That's from locally. Internationally, like um, as a player, I've always looked up uh, hmm, stuff. As a player, like my favorite guys that I look up to, like to improve myself back then, were like Chris G, Human Bomb, and uh, just those two. But in
Just
terms of commentary, I look to James Chen, Mike Ross.
the classic guys. Zeep is crazy. Yeah. All right. Uh, I I noticed that you find people that actually taught you to be quite on. I remember them having not being in agreement back then. So it's kind of interesting that you learn from these two guys. It's like you're the amalgamation of two opposing sides to me right now.
Well, every time I introduce myself on stream, or I always like to call myself your friendly neighborhood Dr. Jimmy. Like, I don't, I always want to be a friend to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If possible, I want to be the binding force or something. I don't know, but
You want to be the
I
glue.
respect people for yeah, I respect people for their achievements, and like you know both these like both like everyone who I mentioned, uh, they they have their experiences, and those experiences helped me make the decisions that I made throughout my life in the FGC. So yeah.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I was commentating in FGC events for a time. Life got busy, so I don't do that as much as anymore. But yeah, considering that you run circles around all these FGCs, all these communities, because they're in different places, they're in different interests. Like, what's a general principle you follow when you're working with all these different communities?
Um, hmm. I don't know. Like, I tend to take things as they are. Um, I always look for. I mean, like, don't trust this guy. Blah 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 blah. Or then I hear from this other guy. This guy is like this, etc. Like, approach people depending on how they approach me. Like, for example, like if this guy feels comfortable around me, and he's overall like just a good person to me, then I would respond appropriately. Like, I wouldn't be, can I say it? I would be an
Yeah,
ass.
it's the internet, man. We're not KBP regulated. Nothing like that. You're fine. You're fine. You can say bloody hell, fuck, whatever.
And like generally I'm just a friendly guy, I think. I don't I'm not confrontational, but I always have a diplomatic approach to things. Like, I always want to keep the peace. So like when I meet different people from different groups, and even though they might have squabbles here and there, I just respect the person, and just treat them right, and hopefully they'll treat me right in return.
Oh, okay. That was another question, but Ryan, do you have anything you'd like to ask at this point?
Um, yeah, actually. Why did you call yourself Dr. Jimmy.
Okay.
That's name. Oh my god. There are many stories to the name, but like to make it short, back in high school, I used to give love advice to people, so people called me the love doctor. And like, I joined a conference. They were asking, "What do you want to put on your like name tag?"
Pretty serious.
And
No, no.
they put
Uh,
Dr. Jimmy, and it sounded cool. My dad was a doctor anyway, so you know.
uh, you know,
I did get behind that.
I,
I'm fine with that.
no, okay. This might be because I'm coming from the Gloco interview, but I was under the impression that you were taking like medicine or something because that's what everybody seems to take, and like they're like, fuck it, no, I'm gonna do gaming or something. But no, you got napakasakit, Dr. Jimmy. That's you now.
You have, like,
I can't sing. I would have sensed.
fight. Yeah, people in the community walk up to you and like, I'm looking for love advice.
He will now.
I don't know. I can't even remember the last time I gave someone advice. So. But that was way back.
But that's what stuck, and that's what Singapore knows. Now you're Dr. Jimmy forever. Love advice, doctor. That might actually be an interesting segment for Playbook one time. But anyway,
Yeah, Alan, you remember like talking about, I don't know, relationship advice, and people were like, well, no, it was the two of us, so it's like comparing it to MOBAs or something.
oh no. Yes. Being a support is like being a single mother. Okay. That long story there. Let's not go there. A dark place to go. A dark place to go, gentlemen. Anyway. Alright, you know what you seem to like always be working whenever I see you, Jimmy. Like, what do you do as a hobby others than practice Sakura?
Give love advice, man. What he does. Well, not so much anymore, right? So you don't do that anymore. So yeah, when you're not like doing your thing with the esports community, with the fighting game community, what do you do with your time?
Actually work two jobs aside from the sports job. I teach English online.
Yeah.
Eh.
Online.
Yes, yeah. Which is
And
fun. I
the
mean,
other
like,
job?
I of course esports. So I work at Playbook, and then I have my online teaching job.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, well, that explains why you're looking for a fiber connection. when you just recently moved to Makati.
Yeah. I moved here like October 19, 2016.
But you were looking for a you mentioned this January that you're looking for a condo in Makati that had a fiber connection.
Yeah. Because right now my current apartment does not have fiber. I'm stuck on like PLDT 5 Mbps. So
Oh, that explains the stuttering. Man, life is hard. Man, I'm moving to a place that that's the first thing I made sure of, you know? Like, okay, I can get robbed, but at least he got fiber.
yeah, exactly.
All right. So,
Thing though, like two jobs, juggling that, I can barely keep up with one. How do you manage that?
Just I manage both jobs by just proper scheduling.
yeah, some people just do it well.
I suppose the benefit of that is your teaching job can be done basically anywhere, right? At home.
I haven't tried teaching while I'm out because like I teach right here at home. But like the teaching job gives me time freedom, so it's basically like if I don't teach then I'm not paid. So I can
Mm.
no, If there's an event, I just go to the event, no problem. No
It's
like time commitments.
it's pretty common for people working in esports right now to always have like a second job. Like, do you think it's because it's not exactly paying the bills? You just need it to maintain a living right now. It's not as lucrative as some people might think it is.
Um, I would say for a person who is single and has no family finance responsibilities, I think going full time esports is fine. But I just recently got married, so um, it's like, yeah, you need to find other sources of income other than esports.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a perfectly acceptable answer because I guess you would say that's kind of the profile of somebody working full time esports. They're like single, no real commitments other than yeah. Like I'm just honestly saying, you follow I follow casters on Dota, and I know that they're not really doing much else. They're always traveling. You're always traveling. I don't know how you handle it. You're always traveling, man. Like like how many flights in 2017?
Quite a lot actually. I mean, there was that NBA 2K event where we had to fly to Cebu and Davao. There was Southeast Asia majors which I had to go to. Just this year, I went on my first trip like last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We did the PPGL Tekken 7 in Cagayan de Oro, and I just flew back like 8 a.m. today. I just
Wow.
like 4 hours ago.
You are a busy man. Like, how do you handle?
Much.
Like, are there days you just literally fall asleep all day? Like, you have to make up for it at some point.
Let's say on Mondays, usually like on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there's not much esports things going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then like on Thursday, I have my show at Playbook. Then on Friday, there's casuals thing. Uh, if there's no event on Saturday or Sunday, then that's downtime for me. So
Okay.
it's it's erratic.
Uh, so in a month, how many tournaments? Like, outside your regular playbook schedule, how many tournaments do you normally see or visit in a span of a month?
Not that many actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I'm mostly busy with Playbook events. If there are Playbook events, I will be there. But anything outside that, uh, well, recently there are going to be more tournaments, like probably every weekend. So yeah, I'm gonna have my hands full in the next couple of months.
All right. Well, consider aside from challenges, maybe are there other? Hey, right. Maybe you want to ask him something about his travels with people, maybe.
Actually, yeah. Last year you did jump, like you were part of several tournaments last year, and you're saying you're ramping it up this year. Um, so you have definitely seen your share of colorful things in the esports and FGC. So, do you have any interesting stories that have come out from those experiences?
Other than Ron Muyot snoring in the hotel room. Which was the way.
I'm gonna get Ron on the show just so that he can get there on you too. It's gotta be.
You need to respond to that.
Yeah, I have met my fair share of people, from the really bad ones to the really awesome ones. So here's a funny story that I tell everyone. Southeast Asia Major,
Mhm.
2016. There's this one Asian player. Uh, like when we got to the venue, it was like afternoon, right? And I met this Asian player. We played, and man, did he smell bad! Like
Oh.
I was hitting an arm's length away from him, and I could smell him, right? So I was like, probably he's gone around Singapore, like he's been sweating the whole day. Probably that's why.
Okay.
But then I see him again the next day, like 8 in the morning, and he smells exactly the same. So we dubbed him like Fong in V Trigger 1. When Fong's in V Trigger 1, like poison, like
Poison smoke man.
spewing around.
Oh, God. He's
So, yeah.
he's
Yeah,
Bo
like,
my
that's
goodness.
curious.
Oh wow.
That's a curious part.
There's a
You
bunch
know,
of people like that back here.
Yeah, advice to people who go to events: soap and put on some deo. Or probably that was his strategy to like
Yeah,
gain
maybe
an
my wife like visited she visited a fighting game tournament in one of the smaller venues once, and she now calls it the esports smell. The smell of just lots of guys sweaty in a small place playing video games. That's the esports smell. Like,
But yeah, that's definitely like a challenge, when you have a venue and you're expecting like 30 to 60 to 100 people just
Mhm.
packed in your shop. Cooling is definitely a challenge that organizers face. So like, quick advice: you could rent like one of those little air conditioner standing air conditioner things
oh okay.
Yeah.
to keep things extra cool. Because we did that like for Playbook, when we did the NBA tournaments.
Mhm.
Like we expect like 128 people per day, and like just to make sure the air conditioning was fine. Like we had it cleaned, and then we even rented out a mini air conditioner. Like just put it up front and like let it blow cool air.
All right.
Which was really good.
Need to ask this like segue. You mentioned NBA. Did you expect the NBA 2K crowd to be that big when you started the tournament? Because it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
I mean, it's no mystery that the Philippines is NBA country, it's basketball country, so therefore NBA 2K is going to be big. But like for 1,024 people to sign up for the 2K qualifiers, that's crazy.
And the Philippines, no less. Because Philippines is normally when you set up a tournament, like you don't get a lot of attendance, whatever game it is in the Philippines, except if you get lots of people to watch. Getting people to play seems to be the challenge, right? Speaking of challenge,
Everyone just
yeah. Speaking of challenge, like you like the common stuff that I would see in an FGC schedule, especially with Playbook, would be Guilty Gear, Street Fighter, Smash, and other anime fighters, and of course Tekken. Like you have all these things going on. Like do you find it difficult? Wouldn't there be like conflicts between communities? Because that's gonna happen. The more people you got, the more little problems that could arise.
I think that's where just open communication between groups comes in. With the other shops, like we always have good relationships with them. So like, we tell each other like, hey, these are our schedules for this month. So in case you guys plan tournaments, so that there won't be any conflicts or anything, we can work around our schedules.
All right.
Which is fun. I mean, like Brawlfest, we worked with Secret Base and Cosmic Gorgons. Those guys are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we just built really good relationship.
All right. So it appears that Dr. Jimmy can solve everything with the power of scheduling, because we gave him like 3 problems already, and he's going like, you could schedule and make sure nothing bad happens.
I can imagine this giant ass spreadsheet of like his schedule several months in advance.
Funny you mentioned that. I do have a spreadsheet with like
Ha!
already like from January to December, and all the events are like on there. So I just every time a new event comes up, I just plot it there. Like, hey, this is happening on this day.
Like, how
So
often?
do you also consider like major events abroad when you schedule your event?
Yeah. The thing with Playbook esports, like we always sit down every Wednesday to discuss, what's up, right? What do we have coming? It's important to, this is like Richard's practice, like just to keep everything organized, as organized as possible. Don't like if there's a big event happening and people are flying out, we cannot do an event for this if for this game. We could probably do an event for Smash or something, or like yeah, it's just really keeping everything organized. And Richard and his wife Chris are just so amazing at that. So they
Mm.
kind of are the reason why like things work out.
Well, if the boss is doing their job right, everybody just kind of follows suit, I guess. And that's something I'd like to follow up on. We always talk about you as Playbooks, Dr. Jimmy. So, can you tell us a bit more about Playbook? Like, what's it like to work there? How do you think it might pan out? Maybe by next year or something like that.
Well, working at Playbook it's a dynamic experience. It's the thing about it is there is no like okay, you have your office jobs, right? Where everything is set. You have like the workflow is clear. Uh, your daily tasks are all set. Like there is a flow that you follow, right? With Playbook, everything is so dynamic. Events can pop up here and there. Um, Talking to the people, uh, keeping things organized, making sure that you're updated with the game,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, everything is so not a normal job when working at Playbook. And we we wear different hats. We wear different hats. So like there are things that we do that are kind of like a regular job, but then there's the esports things that we do.
Okay. Well, like,
That
can you give us something a bit more to chew on? Like, I guess we could use your prime event as an example. Like, what were your major roles in, let's say, Rev Major?
Rev Major. A lot of what I did was I did a lot of the planning. Um, so like we had a lot of sit down sessions where we talk about the flow of the event, what we need, making sure like we have enough consoles, we have enough copies of the games, uh, making sure that the space is ample, like even like to the making sure like the distance between monitors is uniform, it's perfect, like all those minor details, talking to the suppliers for chairs and tables,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
How far ahead did you have to plan this?
Well, for Rev Major, we're only given a month and a half
Dang.
before we knew it was gonna happen. So this year, given we may have more time to plan, I mean, hopefully things won't be as stressful as last year.
6 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
How much sleep did you have in those 6 weeks?
None.
so actually, regarding this year, see, I have a very hot question for that one. We just had, God, the Dota tournament.
Galaxy Battles 2.
Galaxy
Sorry,
Battles.
it kind of
Yeah.
slipped my mind, but yeah, Galaxy Battles I heard went really, really well today, despite the complications. So I actually want to ask about the complications, which is, yeah. Do you think?
You knew this was coming, man.
Yeah.
do you think Gab will pose a problem for future events in the FGC this year?
I will say this: there are ways to solve the problems, um, and there are ways to, you know, make them understand what how fighting games work.
Hmm.
So I think that, you know, it'll be a challenge, but something, as long as people are vocal. I think being vocal is really important,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
In a good way. As long as people are constructively vocal, it won't be a problem. That's
So
all
you
I have
sound
to
like you
say
have a
about.
plan. You
Yeah.
guys sound like you have a plan for this.
Um, I'm not sure if I can say this, but like, I mean, Gab is basically part of the government, right? And there is
Yeah.
absolutely no way you can fight the government unless you do a revolution, right? Like,
Okay.
you bring back that cake, the Philippine KKK stuff, right? So I think it's all just really about communication, like talking to them, letting
Yeah.
them understand, um, like how things work in the FGC. Because clearly, if you look at the ruling set, right, there's a lot that needs to be worked on, and like if we just give them a proper understanding of how esports works for the FGC, I think things will get better. You know,
Do
it's
you?
just
Yeah. Definitely, I do get this impression that the Gab um, hasn't really completely studied competitive gaming, including like esports and the
mm,
FGC. So
mm,
both these things are structured very differently. Uh,
mm,
I mean, even Gab would essentially also even cover tournaments for NBA 2K, where I get this impression that the NBA 2K community, the competitive community, it doesn't really have that kind of community as say the
mm,
FGC or esports. It's just more of a lot of people just really like the NBA and they hear a tournament just walk in. Like,
yeah.
uh, yeah, my understanding is NBA tournaments are usually organized by sports brands like Titan, for example.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
know Titan organizes a lot of NBA tournaments. I'm not too aware about like an NBA 2K community, a players community. Is there one?
Mm, from my experience with the NBA 2K community, like they definitely are different from, let's say, the Street Fight, the FGC.
Yeah,
So approaching them, you have to have a different mindset, right? So
yeah,
yeah, that goes back to what I said, where Gab just needs to understand the dynamics of the different communities and adjust uh their policies to the appropriate communities, I guess.
Would it
Because like,
be?
yeah. So yeah,
mm,
Yeah. Would it be safe to say that playbook would be playing a part in trying to get Gab to understand how it'll be different in terms of the FGC?
go try.
I don't suppose there's a choice. I mean, I really
We
don't think
have to,
Gab is going to
right?
shut off the doors, right?
All
Like,
right.
I
Yeah,
don't think Gab will decide to dissolve. So all you can really do is play ball with him.
mm,
Do you foresee like any at the moment? Do you see anything that the government can do to help out your FGC communities? Because yeah, of course, when you read the rulings, it sounds like okay, restriction, restriction, restriction. This it's all compliance, but we weren't able to understand if there was actually anything that was going to help the FGC.
mm. Well, I think it might be a little vague, but like the fact that they recognize pro players is a really good thing, because it'll make applying for. So let's say you're a full time gamer, right?
Okay.
and you have a weird source of income. I think one of the challenges that, let's say, Twitch streamers have is when they apply for loans. Like, what do they put, in the occupation, on that occupation line, like, full-time Twitch streamer. Like, they can't do that, right? But I think with this recognition of, gaming being an actual job, I think it'll make processes like that way easier, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, right?
Hopefully in
But
in a year or two, yeah.
yeah, recognition in itself is something that's, that we have wanted for like so long. Like we've always wanted, gaming to be recognized, not just by, the casual audience or people, but even the government. So I think recognition from the government is a great thing. I will say
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely. So I do believe like there's a lot of potential in what government recognition of gaming, professional gaming can do. I mean, it's the government. They can like make it easier for professional gamers to fly out and participate in tournaments, maybe even sponsor these trips. So that was the end goal. Also protecting rights, I suppose, because there are a lot of people looking to form esports teams that may not have the players' best interests at heart.
Mm,
So
right,
I do think it's important that the government does have a role in these things. It's just I think there's a lot of cynicism going around. There's a lot of I guess distrust going around because the government does not fully understand
right.
how things work yet. So that's why I agree with you that it's important that you do communicate with the government.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I think like as soon as they understand, as soon as they get it, we will see that support. We will see that, we will see the benefits that this, pro gaming thing is supposed to give us.
All right.
Right?
So
It takes time. Takes time.
so maybe there's a bit of a toss and a tumble as they start the recognition, but in the long run, it's gonna be a good thing. I guess that's what you're trying to say.
Hopefully, like
Hopefully,
we'll
as
get there.
things will pan out in a better direction, like
So that's long term. I want to ask about short term because honestly, way I see it kind of sucks right now. Right now, I want to trust that the system will fix itself eventually. But like, we had a great year in the FGC last year,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and in esports in general. So with Gab in the picture now and all the growing pains involved with that, it kind of puts a big stop to the momentum we were having last year. So, how do you think that's going to play out this year?
Um, hmm. Yeah, definitely it will be a hindrance to like the really big events.
Yeah,
But
I'm worried. Like, do we get another edition of Red Majors this year? Is it like how likely is that?
right now, I have no idea how things are going to pan out this year. Like it's how do I say? I'll just put my faith in the big boss. That's all.
all right. Sometimes there are problems that
Still my thing,
yeah. Okay, so maybe yeah, I guess you could say that that's a problem that's kind of out of his reach right now, and he trusts the people that can do something about it. So I guess that's the best way you could put it. Do you agree with that kind of statement?
Yeah.
All right, all right. So I guess we've looked at the external things that could be affecting our beloved FGC. So let's go a little from the outside looking in. All right. So
Alright.
one of the things that we noticed with starting with Street Fighter V is this attraction towards online matching, and Playbook is an establishment that's like initially for renting PS4s, PCs, that kind of thing, any console actually. and just to play it in the mall, you know. So, do you see this as this trend with gaming? Like, you can just literally play fighting games at home, even if you're alone, because you can fight anybody online. Do you find that to be a possible problem in your upcoming events?
Not at all. I feel like, the essence of the fighting game community is being a community and actually going out to local casuals, to local shops. I think it's that community aspect that brings people back, right? Uh, and we've actually used the internet to put on some interesting spectacles. Like I remember before we had a Davao FGC versus Manila FGC event.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fun. We also invite people to play online at Playbook in case like they want to join like online events outside, like the online Tekken World Tour qualifiers. We had people drop by Playbook so they could join. Even like the Capcom Pro Tour online events, people would go there. So I think like playing at home is it's great. It's a chance for you to hone your individual skill, try out new stuff. And then when it comes to like offline events or offline casuals, then that's when you can share it to people. You can bring it out, see if it works, and like having
Yeah.
your online tactics work offline is the best feeling ever. So no, it's
Yeah,
not a problem.
the different beasts completely. The different beasts. Yeah.
It's the way I see it. The development of online play has been a boon for competitive fighting games, like in real life, offline, right? Uh, we're getting a lot of people who've been playing strictly online, deciding they want to test themselves by participating in real tournaments. And a lot of these people are like, yeah, I'll try it out one time. They're not even that great, but like, they just want to go there, try it out. The moment they're in an offline tournament, they're instantly hooked because it's a different feeling. Like
Mm-mm.
the energy of the crowd, of like people reacting to the match. So I don't think online gaming really hurts offline gaming so much because it's a different experience altogether. But like I guess it also helps. You get better online. You're practicing against real people without actually having to leave home. So I could go home after work and like play a game, you know, with people at the same level of skill as I have, and then I can apply that into an offline tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. Totally agree. So yeah, online, it's actually good for the community. I mean, I'm really like Street Fighter's netcode is actually quite decent. If you find someone with as decent as a connection as you, it can be really smooth, like to the point where it's like you're playing offline. If you get that one connection.
Okay.
But yeah,
Are
All
we
right. So
getting into relationship advice here? Like, okay, finding the perfect girlfriend is like finding the perfect online opponent. Your ping has to match.
and you're roughly at the same skill level, so there's a good back and forth.
wow.
Anyway,
Go there.
we went there. Anyway,
I
okay.
regret that.
In all the years that you've been organizing tournaments, you've been attending tournaments, you've been playing in tournaments actually, which is something of a I found that a bit of an oddball. I don't normally think that organizer would play in their own tournaments. But that aside, like what do you think are the more common problems in FGCs that aren't exactly fixed up until now?
Hmm. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything, but I guess like when it comes to like putting on tournaments, or just the community in general?
I guess just to be more specific, to be putting on tournaments. I guess, yeah, because that's where you work directly.
Problem that has not been fixed until now. Being on time? I don't know.
Actually, yeah, that. Oh, never. They're never on time. Yeah. Okay. You would know. I would know. Anyway. All right. I get.
Yeah, that's
I guess with the community then, since it sounds like you've more or less mastered the craft, and you know exactly what to do when something's wrong. So, do you think there are issues within the FGCs lately?
FGC issues. Honestly, other than personal stuff. Well, I think like there are some communities where like the best players have a bad mentality in terms of playing casuals. Like in some places, like the best player would not show up for casuals at all and would just show up for a tournament. So I think it's
Oh,
that it's the mentality of like hiding secret tech or not telling anyone how to beat you. I think that's a common problem that I think communities would face or have. Because personally, like I always would want to help a player that I beat regularly improve, so that he
okay.
would get better and he would beat me, and then from there I would try to improve my own playing. So like
It's a
everyone wins out.
relationship, yeah.
Yeah.
That
So I think
reminds me of that one post about Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I don't know if you guys saw that, the Reddit post.
Mm-hmm.
There was this one guy complaining about how he bought Dragon Ball Fighter Z because it's Dragon Ball.
It's
like
that one.
Goes online and gets his ass kicked without ever landing a hit on his opponent. He's like, I'm gonna stop playing this game now. I keep getting my ass kicked. He was like,
27 loss streak.
good.
Yeah, 27
Yeah,
lost streak, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your story just reminded me of that. So I understand that. Like, I guess it's hard to nurture a community when like its members aren't as like willing to communicate or as helpful to one another as you'd like them to be.
and I think that's what the word community means, right? You communicate, you commune. I don't know, like there's interaction between people, and let's say you beat a guy's ass, and of course that other guy is playing to win, but he can't. So like immediately what he thinks is, how can I win? You help him with that, like, hey, this is how you win. You do this, you practice this, blah blah blah. Uh, but some people just don't want to do that. Like, okay, I can beat this guy easy. I'm not gonna tell him how to beat me, so I'll win every time. Or like, I keep winning tournaments every month. I make this money. I'll just be the best in this community, and everyone will just be my bitch. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody's gonna like that guy in the long run. So, you mentioned just now, like, you make it sound like there's a lot of commitment in learning a fighting game. And do you find that might be kind of quite the beef gate, quite the barrier to getting like casual players or friendly players, or maybe people that have never played fighting games before. They might find that troublesome to deal with, to become part of the FGC, to get more into fighting games. Do you find it difficult to grow a fighting game community?
It actually, for me, like getting good at fighting games, it's a marathon, or it's like courting a girl.
No, it doesn't stop. We're on the Jimmy Love train, boys. No stops. all the way through.
Like having,
I mean, you
like
know,
being married.
like
I can
there's
get
the
behind
getting
it.
to know stage, right? You learn all your characters' normals. I don't know. Actually, no. The first part is like preparing yourself for the woman, right? Like you practice your normals, you practice your special moves, you practice your anti-airs, and then like you meet someone, right? And then you learn about them, right? You learn their normals, you learn their special moves, you learn, you know, their strengths, and then when you fight, when you interact, like, you know, that's it. You start to learn all these basics of playing a fighting game, and it's like again, it's a marathon. Like you set these small incremental goals. Like, okay, I want to learn how to anti-air consistently every time. Like, no one will get a jump in on me. I'm always going to anti-air. Then you hit that goal, and you set the next goal. Right? I'm going to make sure I go on a date with her at least once a week. You know, or
Learn how to make love.
I learned some. Right?
All right.
It's a process, and you know, no one's in a rush to become the best. I mean, like when I started out, I would lose like my first month. I lose every single game and not get a single win off anyone. So,
Okay.
losing
Well,
is definitely part of it.
I guess I would say like to buffer your argument. Uh, yeah, it's a set of milestones that you gotta learn at. Like winning is like the end goal, right? And the first thing you have to learn is how to get a hit in. If you can't learn how to get a hit in, then maybe you should learn how to keep other enemies' hits out first. And you have these are actually the small victories that you need to learn. Like if you want to first, you have to learn how to talk to a girl. Before you, if you're rushing to get into their pants, you're just gonna get a bad time, you know.
Exactly.
And now I'm part of the Jimmy Love Advice Club. There you go. He's converted me, right? I don't know what I'm gonna do.
But it's
And
a very, I think it's a very appropriate analogy because in fighting games or anything competitive in general, there's always a challenge. There's always a new challenger. It's always something you have to figure out. You have to work on all the time. So it kind of lines up.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got
I'm
dumped by the
trying
first
not
three
to.
rules I like.
Yeah,
Go
I'm trying not to this rabbit hole, guys. So,
Okay, time to get out. Okay, all right. You've discussed where you've come from. We've discussed where the current things that we might be dealing with, the current things that we can do. So, what are we gonna see in the future of Playbook? Or do you see yourself? Well, number one, do you see yourself working with Playbook for the foreseeable future?
Considering the growth that the fighting game community is going through right now, definitely, um, I will be sticking. I might be sticking to the job. It depends on how things run. I mean, there's always things in real life that might, give you a wake up call here or there. Um, I always have to consider, like my marriage, right? So, right now, yeah. I see myself still with Playbook, um, helping events get better, thinking of ways to grow communities, not just in Manila, but like I want to do a project where I visit all the communities outside Manila and help their players get better.
The Jimmy Love Clinic.
The Philippines.
no, he's moved up. He's past providing relationship advice. He's being a doctor for everyone's FGC game, basically. He's a doctor of getting good.
The Get Good Clinic. Alright. I'm actually
Like a great cult
I'd actually give it some real coverage because that sounds like fun. But all right. So let's go to to what you already know that's coming. Like, you're the planner of Rev Major, so you definitely have plans for 2018. What can we expect from Dr. Jimmy and Playbook this coming year?
bigger red major.
That was pretty big.
give
So
up.
that was a pretty. So
That's all I can say.
oh wow,
It'll be bigger than-
everything is el confidenciales.
I mean, like there are just so many things I wish I could say. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're gonna have more preparation time. And last year we had a month and a half, like
Yeah, that's nuts.
right. This year, okay. So I won't. I don't want to give away when Rev Major is going to happen. But we have at least more than 1.5 months to prepare. So,
Time to sleep. You have time to sleep.
we'll definitely like work on the things that that can make Rev a much bigger event this year. So yeah,
Okay.
Forward to that.
So at least that's in the books, right? It's on the way. So does that mean you guys have been talking to Bamco about this? Like,
I mean, the reason why we were able to get Rev Major in the first place was because of, connections with Bamco and, and Beast of the East, who are basically doing all the tournaments in Southeast Asia. So yeah, we've been keeping, we've been in contact with, the people who make these events internationally. So like we get advice from them. They help us in terms of production and how things go. So yeah, we talk with people, a lot of people.
All right. Well, considering that the plans are currently more secret than Area 51, is there anything? Is there anything that you'd like to like anybody that might be listening out there to know?
Prepare for like people who are outside of Manila. You can save your money
All right.
so you can buy tickets here. It's going to be big. Definitely, we will work to give you, if not the same, but a better experience for Rev this year. Um, what else? So yeah, just look forward to for better fighting game events in the country.
All right.
In
oh,
the
absolutely.
foreseeable
I'm
quarters.
excited to see what you do. I'm excited to see how you're gonna top Rev Major. Like,
From
I
Japan.
just want to see. Yeah, I'll watch the streams, whatever, man. I don't know. But yeah, dude. Rev Major. I don't really follow the tournaments live a lot. I just usually watch the recaps. But like, I got so hyped watching Rev Majors last year that I'm really excited to see what happens this year.
Yeah, to be honest, Rev Major did effectively make a lot of people care about Tekken all of a sudden. That much is true.
Rev
think
Major
people-
actually motivated.
Yes.
I kind of want to check out Evo now, thanks to Rev
Ah.
Major.
Okay. Hey, you're saying, Dr. Jimmy?
I'm gonna try to catch that. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, you mentioned like it made people care about Tekken. Yeah, I mean like people in this country care about Tekken period, but it made more people care about Tekken. So that's awesome.
All right. So, all right. Well, I've run Jimmy through my gauntlet of questions, and he's defended himself quite well. Not that I'm looking for anything. Don't worry about it. Right. You got anything else you want to catch on?
Yeah, I think it's time for us to throw quick fire questions at him from the comment section.
Oh my god,
Okay.
I've seen
Alright.
this comment.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You know what? Your missus. Yeah. I think it's your
Okay.
wife. She's put up a number of them. So, yeah, let's go at it
Okay.
real quickly.
We are
Would you
gonna.
like to move to another country in
Move to another country? If it's with her, yeah, sure, why not?
Really, has she dropped any hints of where she wants to go? It sounds like she has a plan.
I'm gonna ask her after.
All right. Next question, also from the Misfits. Do you see yourself still in the gaming scene 5, 10, 15 years from now? I kind of answered this already.
Yeah. Whether
There
it
are
be
follow-ups.
in Playbook or in a local fighting game community.
Alright, wait.
or wherever.
I gotta ask this one for Dennis. Dennis Giron asks, favorite kind of lumpia? He's rolling over.
Chicken lumpia.
Whoa, that exists?
Yeah, it tastes amazing. It's beautiful.
Where do you buy that?
Right. I forgot the brand, but it's in SM groceries.
Okay,
It's called the brand's like Hansa.
okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Okay. What's a four-letter word that ends in K and means to see?
Never mind. Okay, yeah, Datu is like off the list. Like this guy, like all his questions. No, man, no.
No. We're gonna do this. Lights on or lights off?
It's Boya Bunda. It's like the Boya Bunda with like the young celebrities.
He's not saying what you're doing with the lights on or lights off. Maybe you could be gaming with the lights on or lights off. You know?
I like to see what I'm doing. Turn the lights on.
Lights on.
Chocolate or socks? Even guy is kind of making it hard to
You
understand.
you can see the post, Jimmy. You know what's coming.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Chocolate or, I don't know, socks?
Saxophone, maybe saxophone. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You know, that's going pretty great, you know. But
Yeah.
hearing that, you kind of feel shit. So, yeah.
Right.
So am I supposed to answer?
I think we've run the course.
Even know.
But if I've gotten anything out of this interview, like I have to find out what chicken lumpia is like. No. Also, so all right, I think that's it for tonight. We have arrived at the section where you get to promote what you want to say. So fire off, Jimmy.
Hey. Oh wait, what happened? Ah. Okay. How do you do this? Wait, something happened to Discord.
What?
I
No.
can only see one person. Okay, there you go. Never mind, it's fine. Shout outs to the wife. First and foremost, because like even before we got married, she was super supportive with my gaming passion. Like she would go out to tournaments and stuff and cheer me on. So shout outs to her. Thank you for her support. Shout outs to Playbook Esports for believing in me. Like before they picked me up, I did not think I was worthy enough to be part of the Playbook Esports team. So shout outs to them, Richard. Shout outs to the FGC, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao FGCs. You guys are awesome. You played a role in making me who I am today. So you guys are great. I like to promote my show every Thursday at 6 p.m. It's called Helping Julio. I help people become better at Street Fighter. At least I think I do.
Or love.
If you if you wanna learn Street Fighter, you can definitely hopefully you can watch Helping Julio. It's every Thursday. Playbook Twitch Playbook_PH. Yeah, shout out to you guys, Reimaru Files. You guys have been awesome since I started to get to know the people from RF. Everyone's
Oh, thank you so much. All right, so I guess that's it for tonight. I don't know. I'm not sure how Doc Jimmy wants to close it out, but before that, again, this is the RF Talk Reimaru Faisal's podcast, and I'm Lentropy. We are with Rai and Dr. Jimmy. We will hopefully this will come out because SFAE already came out, so hopefully this will be out in a week or less. And And yeah, that's about it. So let's go and close it out. You, we. Oh yes, like we have Facebook, we have an actual website, Reimaru Files. We have Twitter, IG, all those things. It's gonna be on. It's gonna be on the description of the YouTube video, if ever. All right, so that's it.
I
So,
have one more question actually.
all right, go.
I have one quick fire question. 20 character DLC, yes or no?
The look. 6 months before release.
I guess no.
Seriously. All right. Anyway. All right. That's okay. So let's let the guest decide how to close it out.
Close out anyways.
All right. Good night, everyone.